look and see if they have enough money to do the match.
Okay.
So we're lucky that it's during the period of time that the grant is open. There's only one grant for economic development, unless you have some massive item.
And what's this grant for?
The Community Development Block Grant Program just opened up. We just got rid of, we just closed, I should say, one. So we had two, and you're not supposed to have a third one. So one got closed out, we still have the Main Street one. And then...
which you'll have forever, it seems like.
Yeah, yes, and hopefully the rest of the road will make it until then. All right, very good. So the system is on, and it is, we got a couple of minutes. 2 minutes. I gave you copies of the December statement for TD Wealth, which is the cemetery funds, and that's on the 11 by 17 paperwork. Only because if it's on the small one, you won't be able to see it. It's very difficult. And then a copy of the reserve accounts. Oh, I'm sorry, the reserve accounts are on the big one, and the cemetery one is on the small one. Although there are cemetery accounts on both. I didn't send them over the email because I'm really uncomfortable. We have a lot of money in those accounts, and I just don't want to go out there where there could be issues. And when they're sent to us, they're encrypted, and we don't have the ability to do that, nor do we need that.
So what is that?
They will encrypt them, so you have to use passwords.
No. The noise.
That would be the janitorial, something's going on, something's being moved around.
The warrants here, was there another folder?
There should be another folder.
Here.
Yes, I've been unable to find it, but it's upstairs someplace.
Okay. And then I didn't see the Warsaw check in the folder here.
Yeah, when they put all the bills away, there was a little team project, and everything went very quickly. And this one of them got put away that shouldn't have. In the bills and not in the folder. So once we have these all up to date, which is going to be tomorrow, there will be no more issues with that. So I will locate that for you. It has I think two motor vehicles on there. There's a Vista from the theater, which is a movie. And what else is on there? We can leave it on
on the one that's missing? Yeah. I didn't look at it.
Yeah, we can leave it on the
there,
side.
so.
It's not
Yeah, I didn't sign that one. And this one here, the Warsaw checks, not going to Warsaw, isn't in the folder. The Warsaw Middle School.
It was in the folder.
Maybe it's stuck to the back of something else. Sometimes they get stuck to each other.
That one's stuck.
It should be the last one.
It should be. I do have my own copy upstairs of it. It's just a copy. I'll get it after the meeting. And I kept a copy of it because the recreation budget is going to pay for $800 toward the wrestling mats.
Oh, okay.
Okay, which is because of the new wrestling program and everything. It's a huge bill, over $4,000.
Oh, wow.
I'll get that after the meeting.
Okay. So this is the actual statement that comes. The you were talking about how it comes encrypted. There's a thing that I found out about when I was working with a marketing company for the farm that there's a website called One Time Secret that you can send a file with a password, and then you send the person the password, and then they have like 7 days to open the file. That thing, and it encrypts the whole thing.
Yep, these programs that the banks have, which was specific for the banks, are like that too. All right, so why don't we start? We've got the expense warrants. There aren't any water and sewer commitments, so that's good. Review of the ordinances. You wanted to review the ordinances which are detailed on the duties of the Finance Committee. And so the first one is the one we've had several copies of now, regarding the council committees under Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 125.1, duties of the Finance Committee. And it's at the bottom of page 211, and just has duties of the Finance Committee. And then goes over to 2-112. And basically, the periodic examinations of the treasurer's records are going over all the warrants and the reports that you get in the council package.
Right.
So you get your financial package that has all the details on the expenses, the revenues, and then the larger accounts, as well as other reconciliations that we do, such as the theater in the transfer station. Report any discrepancies or questionable transactions to the council. We've never had any of those, so that's good. Review each warrant for payment of invoices and payroll. And the payroll is delegated, and has been the whole time before I even got here, delegated to the staff with a warrant, with an article that's approved as a resolution each year to make those payments, as well as the SAD 53 check. Make recommendations to the council regarding approval or disapproval of the warrant for signature by the majority of the council. And because we have the council meetings and we have the finance committee meeting, because of the way the charter, the administrative code is set up, people can sign, which is unique, because I did question this. People can sign the warrants in between the meetings. For the release of the checks, though, which we do keep except for a specific list that we have authority to send out, we have to get to the council meeting where a majority of the finance committee has to sign the warrant. So that means 2 of the 3. So to release the checks, 2 of the 3 finance committee committees' signatures have to be on the warrant. So if you go back through all the warrants for a lengthy period of time, you'll always see 2 finance committee. And then a majority is 4 people, so then there needs to be 2 other counselors. And then usually most of the counselors sign them until the last year or so, where, you know, we've struggled to get 4 or 5 signatures. Makes recommendations regarding the town's external auditor. And so that is an item that the town council took over as a whole before my arrival here, in which they wanted on the agenda the approval of the external auditor, which we do each year. 5, meet with auditor to discuss audit, and to make sure that we get as much information out as possible before I arrived here. And I think this is fine, because most towns, the auditor meets with the entire board. They don't meet just with a committee, except if you're in Bangor or some of the larger places. So meet with the auditor to discuss audit. That's been sort of re-delegated back to the council. Follow up auditor's recommendations as to improvements to the town's fiscal practices. And for many years, we haven't had any recommendations, which has been very good. We had excellent unqualified audits. The last, I think, 4 years, we didn't even get a list of improvements, so that was good. So those are the major duties of the Finance Committee.
I'm not quite sure, why are we reviewing this?
I was asked to do it.
Because
I'm asking the chairperson.
we don't have it. That's Amanda apparently.
I'm
But
the
Amanda's new to the finance
Yeah.
committee, and you're new to the finance.
I'm not
committee.
new to the finance committee.
Well, you weren't sitting on the finance committee
No,
last
but
year.
I've been
You
on the
attended.
council before.
But
Right.
I've never been. And I don't
Okay.
know everything. that
We
needs
did
to
the
be
same
done.
thing for the ordinance committee last night because we had new members on the ordinance committee as well.
Okay.
So for the ordinance committee last night, we had so many different items out there that people were interested in. I did a recap of where everything was, and then we had some new items come in too. So this should be pretty quick, because the only other ordinance or policy that is in the code book on the duties of the finance committee, and it sort of talks about the town council throughout, is chapter 18, which is financial administration. And so this ordinance or policy is only on the cemetery trust funds, and that is because we follow the state law for the investments on all the other monies. It's very clear what you can invest in under the state law. There's a whole section that says only this, 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 and this.
Right.
For the cemeteries, because that's money that's given to us in trust forever, at least the principal part, we can invest in higher risk items. And I would say these are not really, what we're investing in is not really high risk. It's very segregated so
Yeah.
that we're diversified, and the account has worked out wonderfully. When I arrived here, we had money everywhere being invested, and we were heavy in certain categories of sectors, like the financial part, we might be heavier energy or, you know, your different types, industrial type items. And so the account would go way up, then go way down, and, you know, we weren't diversified so that the account would go like this and then keep increasing. So we went out to bid and ended up with TD Wealth, which was Bank North at that time. And it was probably one of the best decisions that we ever had. It's estimated when we put all the monies in 2003, because it took a while to determine exactly what we had and to track all the records. We had a little bit over $200,000, and now the account is over $1 million. And we've taken money out. So their investment is wonderful, and the fee is very small to have quality investment. So you have a breakdown for the cemeteries that's on the 8.5 by 11, and there's 3 funds that are there. And there's a spreadsheet that will come shortly, but hasn't arrived as of yet, and we do a reconciliation. But it's broken down into a general cemetery fund, and these are monies that can be used for the cemetery for whatever purpose you would want on the cemeteries. There's a cemetery capital, and that would be used only for capital expenses at the cemetery. And then there is a specific fund, George Parks, that would only be used in the major cemetery here in town on Paltoma Avenue, where their lots are located. So if the stones needed to be fixed, there's a lot of money in there. If there had been damage, if we needed to do items beyond just mowing and taking care of the plants and everything. So those are the 3 accounts that make up the $1,041,489.85. And this is the budget that, for a few years, we decided that we would take the amount of the cemetery budget out of the budget. Like in 2020, we budgeted the expense, it's around $50,000 for the cemetery. And then as a revenue, we budgeted the same amount. So at the end of the year, we'll transfer the funds out of this account. And so the first year we got over $1 million was this year. And that's including the 2 slumps that took place during the year. So that was very good. And then there's a listing of all the different items that the monies are in, the equities, the bonds, the fixed income, and then the purchases and everything. And we've got cash also. So the investment company does all the investments, and we usually meet with them. We used to meet 4 times a year, but it really was overkill. So we cut back to 2, and then I think we only met with them once last year. So that's something that we can do. Ed Donahue from TD Wealth is still there, which is great. It's been there a long time. So we can set up a meeting so you can talk with them and hear about the account. And he likes to come out and meet with the different clients and give advice. But they do an excellent job. This is one of the best decisions we ever made.
It would be great to set up a meeting to hear him explain this.
I think they came last spring. Or
He did.
Yeah,
He
he
did
did.
last year. Yes.
Yeah.
They brought a presentation package for each.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And
they do
cups.
have that. Mhm.
And
Of
cups.
course they brought cups. Every time I go in there with Jeff, they're like, do you want a pen? Sure, you can never have too many pens.
That is true, especially the camera. So then the one that is the large one has a few reserve accounts on it, but is mostly all of a few of the cemetery reserves, but most of this, except for the first couple and one other later on, are all the different reserve accounts for the town. And so I just downloaded this. The encryption device has been malfunctioning, and I just got it to work. And you'll see that we made a little bit over $4,000, which includes the expenses.
So that
For the
top
month.
line is the overall,
Yes.
for the month of December?
For the month, yes.
Okay.
Now, I did look quickly when I printed this off, and I see that the figure at the bottom, at the end, is different, and they're teaching somebody how to do this. And so I'll have, once I add up the columns, I'll probably have to call, because the top and the bottom don't match, and they have to. But basically, let's pick out the third one down, the fire department reserve. And so the fire department reserve is there. And because some of our accounts need to have the income and the principal, meaning the cemetery ones, they break everything down into income and principal. The principal is the amount when we first transferred the monies over. But that doesn't mean that we can't spend it. It's just simply, they've got principal and income for some of the accounts, and so they have to continue it through for all of them. But the only ones that we have to be careful on and not spend any income are these cemetery ones.
So we lost in the fire department reserve, is that correct? Am I reading that?
So
Parentheses don't mean loss apparently on this.
Is it just a withdrawal?
yeah, that's just the way that they have listed these, but no, there's no loss there. Sometimes they take the monies out of the wrong account, or they'll put the monies in. It's their software and how it's set up. Our total amount there is the correct amount, what we have on the book, $61,313.28. But
Say that again?
Yes, for fire department reserve, the third one down, Pittsfield 3. If you go all the way over to the right-hand side,
Oh, okay.
and you look at
Yeah.
the income and principal, there is no loss or anything. This is their software. The total is $61,313.28, and that is the correct amount, and we can spend every penny of it.
So this
What
is,
that's saying though is
For the
that
fire
that it's
department.
For
actually
the fire
less
department.
than what we originally put in. That 5768, because the principal says 66937.
Right, but remember, they have to use, this software is set up because of the way we have several cemetery accounts, which have to have the income and the principal separated. So they put everything in there based upon what we started out with, and then they have made errors over time, but the total at the bottom is correct. There's no deficit anyplace there. They've got this in a couple of these. Two of them, yeah.
So the earnings is the actual interest in the particular month for each of the accounts. Like $165.81 is interest earned.
Yeah, divided up
In
amongst the
December.
percentage of the total, yes.
Okay, and then the $12.74, is that fees that we pay to them?
That would be fees,
For management?
divided up by the percentage that each item is of the total.
Okay. And, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just looking at the fees thinking, you add it all up every month, that's a lot of money.
$352 for the month of December to manage. What's the balance?
Well, the
of
one,
all
the
of our
standpipe
accounts?
one is $65, rounding it up. $65.
1.9 million.
$352 to manage $1.9 million.
Which
Yeah,
one?
it's a small amount considering how much money we
A
have.
bargain.
It is a bargain.
Fire department reserve, so this is for, work that needs to be done to the fire department building itself.
So the fire department reserve is the monies for the equipment and vehicles, or if we have basically, they keep the money in the account in case there's a major breakdown, because a major breakdown of one of the trucks could be over $20,000.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
And I don't think they just leave it there
Yes.
in case.
So we have a fire station reserve on,
Yes.
I don't know what page.
That
it
is a new one.
So
yeah.
that is,
Where is that?
I mean, is there a difference between the fire station reserve would be, I'm sorry, it's page 4? Yeah, page 4,
Be nice if
next
we
to
had-
last one.
Yeah, it's pit 42.
So that's
Well, and
reserved
then
for
there's
the
fire station
building.
exterior.
Yes, for the fire station, which we've asked them to put together their work list,
Okay.
because now they've got enough money.
Because there was
to do.
issues with paint and this and that
Yes,
that we were hearing
yes,
about.
yes, there's work that needs to be done in the fire station. We
And
do
where
not
did you
agree
find
to
fire
that.
station reserve? Is
Does
that,
the
The fire
asbestos-
station exterior is the last page.
so
I
that's,
was
So it
told there
says
isn't
nothing.
any, so.
Okay, what
Okay.
about the lead paint? Not all of that had been removed the last I knew.
Is it still up on the ceiling? See, I haven't
I
heard
don't know, I'm
about
just
this
saying
for
what my
many
husband
years.
said,
Yeah, I haven't
that
heard
there's
about
still
this.
lead paint there.
so it sounds like Steve needs to do a building report.
Hmm?
It sounds like Steve needs to do like a building report.
Well, yeah,
Of
you'd think the
some
fire
kind.
chief would report to the code officer, look, wait, the lead paint's still there, but
Well, Public Works is in charge
Somebody-
of doing an assessment of the buildings every year.
Well, no, each of the departments is responsible for it themselves. Steve works with me on the outside because I
Okay.
wanted to do some items and he has the expertise to do that. So I'll speak with the fire chief again about this because now we've got enough money to do something in here.
that would be nice.
And is the,
And it's somewhat aesthetics is an issue too.
PITT 53 fire station exterior, is that the money that was approved last year and not spent yet because we couldn't find a contractor?
Yes,
To do
yes.
it.
Yeah,
And
That's
that's
like
all
the
of
brickwork
these?
and stuff.
yeah, that'll be coming up
This is
again.
all stuff from last year that got set aside and carried over.
Fire station reserve, or is that the account you're talking about?
Very last
Exterior, the
page.
last page.
Yeah,
There's-
those are the new accounts.
Yeah, the very last page, there's the sidewalk repair, the paving resurfacing, the municipal building exterior and fire station exterior. That's like cleaning the brick and redoing the mortar and stuff. Those were all projects from last
So,
year that didn't get
why-
contractors.
Why
So
do we
only-
have to have, if we have a fire station reserve, why do we have a separate
All right,
fire
that was
station
done
exterior?
deliberately, so it doesn't get just put in there and forgotten about, or get used for something
Because it was
else.
for a specific
It
project.
was a
Right, it was a
specific
by
project,
resolution.
as a specific line in the
Okay.
budget, so besides the fact it was specific, and I felt it should be separated, you don't wanna put it into the big total, because then it can just get eaten up by
Right.
other projects. And so the only two that weren't done was the municipal building exterior and fire station exterior, because the bids were ridiculous. The paving resurfacing was actual money that Caleb had asked to be put in the budget, which is in there, was in there. And the sidewalk repairs was new money that was put in there to build that up so that we can have enough money to do a project. So the two that came over from last year that weren't completed because the bids were too high, was municipal building exterior, pit 52, and pit 53, fire station exterior.
So we don't have a separate, I thought the sidewalk repair was the entrance out here. We don't have a separate account for that?
No,
Where,
because we'd have to combine and use the monies, and we're gonna have to use more monies that are in this budget too.
so where do those monies reside now, just in the general fund?
They're in this separate bank account in the trust department of Peoples, which is now Bar Harbor.
Right.
So all these monies are in here, and then the money that's in the budget has not been transferred yet because we're in the first month of the budget.
Okay.
And are we
So that'll
gonna
become a
send out
separate
new?
account in here, on this line.
What we'll do, because our monies will start going down, we don't transfer the reserve monies into the reserve account and go to the other bank, because we sort of use it as a cushion. What will happen is that we spend more money once we get into January, we spend more money than we take in. And since the taxes aren't due till October, we start going down in cash. And so we leave all the reserve monies in there. And then if the projects are done, that's fine, but if not, they're part of our overall
And that
balance
goes
to keep us going until the money all comes in October. Then you go up and have a lot of money. And then we start spending.
Not for a long time, though.
Yeah, for buying things. And then we'll transfer the monies over at the end of the year.
So we should still have the majority of the funds from the October tax bills at the beginning of the year in January.
Yes, we're high now, yes.
Right.
And we will be for several months.
So are we able to start on some of the projects that we approved in the budget, like hiring the workflow assessment and getting some of the bids put together for the paving
We're
and-
working on all the bids now. I said that they would come in February.
Mhm.
I just don't want to start too early if we have a bunch of snowstorms. And then it works out good if the contractors can run around in March looking at things,
Yeah.
because it's close enough to when they'll be able to do work.
I just wanted to make sure that they were working on them because we have a stretch of really nice weather, so nobody's out plowing and sanding and all of that. So there should be lots of work being done on the bids.
Yeah, he's catching up on other work and.
He was cold patching all day yesterday.
Yes, that's a major item now that it's dry enough to do that.
The highway was doing all kinds of cold patching too.
Yes, that's what they're
Constantly
doing.
pulling into the left lane. All the way up to Orono.
Yes, I bet everybody's out
I don't
because
know why
it's
going-
dry. It's dry for a few days enough so that the water's out of the pothole area.
Right.
So then the new material will stay there for a while.
Yeah,
Whereas the other way, it's knocked out pretty early.
yeah.
So that's been their major area, and I have reminded them of items that need to be done down here too.
Did you hear anything about the, well, I guess you said you were gonna ask the USDA about the sludge removal payments?
Yeah, I have not, and I have asked them several times. What we may have to do is send a letter from the council, but if I could resolve this another way, that would be good.
Can we do a letter from the council so you can have it, so that if you don't hear anything, you can just send it off, or?
I'd like to wait just a little bit more, because we had to make our payment. It goes out in the beginning of January, so there's no choice on that. So we have a little bit of time.
Okay.
We have plenty of money in there. This is a matter of the USDA works very slowly.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole variety of accounts in here. Do you want to go down through each one, or?
I'd like to understand a little more about the additions thing. Is that what was allocated from taxes in our budget?
Yes.
And then those were added in?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly, and what was left. And so we can go down through those.
So disbursement, where we have, like the airport improvement, that disbursement was going toward fixing something that was planned for in the budget?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
So if we start on the first page, the additions for the standpipe painting reserve, we have been putting $4,000 in each of the standpipe accounts, which are listed separately in the budget.
Right.
Under the requirements of the main rural water and the PUC. And then in the reserve account, it's together. So that is an allocation to build that up. And the standpipe project should be one that we do this summer because of how many years it's gone by. It's still not too bad, but we do need to paint this to preserve the tanks. The next one is a special one that we had under recycling equipment reserve. We usually don't do this, but when we sold the waste transporter, we did receive a large sum of money, $17,500. So it was decided that that money, rather than go to the general fund and miscellaneous revenues, like the other little ones, 500 or 200 here and there, it would be put back, and the council voted to put it into the recycling equipment reserve. So that was $17,500. That was not tax dollars in the capital budget. Then on the next page, page 3, airport improvement. This is the first year of raising the match that's required for the hangar project. So the first year was $45,000. That was a lot. The town for many, many years was able to use the monies that were allocated years ago, but it finally got way, way down. It had to do a couple of projects at the airport, small things, but still, that did affect it. So our match is 5% of the overall project, which by the time we get done, it seems like it's gonna be over $1.7 million. It's kind of crazy, the specs, but the building will be there probably in 100 years, or at least 50.
The 1 million is not our match, that's the cost of the buildings, right?
It's for the hangar project.
For the-
Yes,
right.
yes.
Thank
So that we
you.
would have our own hangar that would be managed by the fixed base operator, which currently is Curtis Air. And then all the income from the lease or the rental of the nested hangars for the airplanes that would be housed there would go to the town. The next one is police cruiser, and this is a partial amount that's left over for police cruiser and equipment. Part of that is that the vehicle and all the work that was done to it to switch things over came in a tiny bit less. Also, some of the items that were going to be purchased weren't purchased, and there was a change, and then we got a grant, so this was the balance left in the budget. So we made sure we put it into the account and didn't let it go to surplus. Then we're skipping over a page, and we're getting to our favorite one. Second page to the end is the sewer sludge removal account, where we put $85,000 in there. And as you can see, we have a lot of money in the sewer sludge removal account.
And this is the one we're trying to stop putting money into.
Correct, because we have enough to take care of sludge for a long time. When I arrived here, this was like an emergency project, in which there were the third engineering review came in, and they actually had to meet with me the second day I was here, because this was such an emergency. We were told that the lagoons were all filled up, we needed to pump them out and all of this. And then, obviously, this was going to be some massive project that required bonding. So we went to the USDA after a while, because we had to improve the rates and do a variety of items in order to get grant money and loans. You have to take care of yourself first. You can't have the lowest sewer rate in the state of Maine, which we didn't have. So we had to increase that a bit in order to get the money. And so then we went through a competitive process and were able to do a lot of sewer projects once we found that all the sludge that was supposed to be in there was hardly anything in there. So then we were able to use all the money for sewer projects. It was 3 engineering reviews.
That were all wrong.
Incorrect. Yeah, very incorrect, yes. But in the end, this turned out to, different
Well, to our
companies.
advantage.
It was to our advantage. It was totally to our advantage. Because that project went on for a while to get the monies. And then you have to provide every detail on the purchase and all the properties that went into the lagoon system, the land out there, and there's, over 100 acres. So that took a while to do. And luckily we do keep the records. We used old records from the 70s to help us put that together that we found in the safe once we reorganized that. And then the economy had fallen through by the time we were ready to go there, which still, it was thought to be an emergency at that time. But it technically wasn't, because the sludge was not compacted in there the way the engineering companies thought. It was all fluffy and all over the place. So there were gaps here and there. So they thought the whole volume was filled because of how it looked. And when they did the calculations, but there were so many gaps in between deposits, we'll say. We ended up, not having the volume whatsoever. So we had all this money at a low interest rate and a huge grant of $1.5 million, and we went out and were able to fix 13 sections of sewer. And we had, as of that period of time, which was by the time we finished 2013, because each project has to be designed and you have to go through all the steps and everything. At that time, we were told that that was the most efficient use of monies they had ever seen, because the economy was so low, the contractors bid really low. Then each time, they would estimate what the prices should be, in a regular economy, and even a depressed one, and the bids would still come in low. So then we do another project and another project, so that worked out really well. So, we don't need all this money.
So if they say that we can stop putting $85,000 in there, we don't.
Where does that go?
We don't, well, where does it go? And we don't need $805,000 to take
That's
care
the
of
second
the
item
sludge.
to ask
Are
to
we
take
able
some
to
out.
repurpose that to things like other sewer projects? Like we have, I keep hearing
Library
Library
Street.
Street needs a major rework
Yeah.
and rebuild and all
The
kinds
first
of
thing
things. So-
is to get the money stopped. The second thing is to go in and ask to, if I do it all at once, I expect it'll probably be a no. Because we're dealing with the federal government here. And the paperwork that we signed in order, and we knew this at the time, and of course, we thought we would need a lot of money in there, and that much, even more than that. So when the paperwork was signed, we had to guarantee we would put the money in the account, so the paperwork all has to be changed.
So it's a
we-
new contract.
we need to get
Or an
rid of it.
amended contract.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause
And
I
that will
think the
probably
estimate-
wind up taking all year if you're dealing with the federal government
Oh, I
to
know.
get, to do both pieces.
We'll be lucky if it'll.
I was
If
gonna
it's a
say,
year.
that
Yeah,
may
really.
actually take a couple of years.
Yeah, the monies, they
Submit a
thought that there
one-page
was
report, they don't
$1.8
get
million
feedback for
of-
5 months.
Yeah.
$1.8 million of sludge there, and so we lucked out because there was hardly anything.
That's awesome.
All right, so those are the two major accounts, and then I didn't give you a copy of the Pittsfield Future Fund simply because it's got all these CDs that don't come up for a while. But that currently has, and is information that would be in your council package, that currently is $1.58 million, so 1.581,000. And it looks like we're getting close to having enough for our first loan payment that will be due on the projects and the paving and the other projects. Because right now, our cash equivalents are almost $79,000 cash that we could use without breaking one of the CDs and having a penalty. So that
And
is.
are you thinking that we'll follow the same procedure that we did last year? Like we should be looking at the roads and which ones we're gonna pave this year? And then if we're gonna do municipal bond bank, we already missed the spring one, right? Cause you said it had to start in December.
Yeah, I think
looking
that
at fall.
basically the bank process was so easy and worked out so well, and the banks are so interested now that going through the bond bank thing is like a 2-week period of putting everything together, and then you gotta wait, so long that, and you can't you might get the money, if you did the first issuance, you might get the money before you wanted to do your projects, and then you gotta start paying interest.
Right.
I would use the same process.
Yeah,
And
I think we need to get an earlier start on the paving, especially in light of the issues
Mhm.
around the fall paving this year, to make sure that that's
Well, we still
a
have to finish
project
a
pushing
project, right?
forward. Yeah,
Because
well,
it
that
couldn't
other
be
one
finished.
still needs to be finished, and then
Yeah.
they have to redo some space.
Well,
that-
those two being redone is nothing to do with the time of the year. That really is the other things.
Okay,
Yeah. Yes.
What
We
other
took
things?
we took a risk. That was a big job for that company,
yeah.
and there were a lot of starts and stops.
Mhm.
And I don't want to say anything more, but
Right.
they were very willing because they wanted their money. They were very willing that we could keep back the money. So I didn't see that as a temperature thing. Now there was a temperature thing on the Detroit overlay. The shim is down, but for settling purposes, this actually is a good thing. But that happened because these manhole covers are
Oh, the
special
manhole covers.
issuance. So now we know it wasn't. This happened before, and we were told at the time that these are only special ones only on this road, but they're all over the place. So now we know. Now we know. Yeah.
Are we like mapping them as we go about like other
Mhm.
things through town so that we have a good idea where they are, so we don't
Yeah.
come up against that.
There's more of them than they thought, yeah. It must have been a special deal. They're a size that has to be fabbed rather than just buy them off the shelf, which isn't good.
Funny term, off the shelf manhole covers.
Yeah,
But
but now we know. I already
yeah.
have the timetable done and some of the information already put
Okay.
together, yeah.
Great.
All right, is there anything else, besides the meeting schedule that we wanted to discuss? We can set up meetings for the, Bar Harbor is new to us, and so far seems to be progressive, at least on the checking account part. I haven't had much contact with them on the reserves, except for the regular staff that transferred over, to Bar Harbor. Do we want to set up, a meeting with Bar Harbor to go over the reserve accounts, and then definitely the cemetery one?
Yeah, that would be good, and then we can hear from both places.
Mhm. All right, good. We used to do this, like I said, 4 times a year, but it got sort of cumbersome, and we were hearing the same thing over and over after like 3 or 4 years, so they sort of did it sporadically when people wanted to. Or there were new counselors on committees.
I think once a year is sufficient.
Yeah.
It may be, yeah. Do you want to do them both the same night, so that's all we address?
Yeah,
Sure.
Okay.
As long as it's not a 3-hour meeting.
No, it wouldn't be.
They're pretty quick.
I've learned to give them, they were quick because I gave them time frames. They would have sat there for
Because they will
hours and
talk
talked.
forever.
Oh, yes, believe me.
But they do understand the time frame thing, so.
Yes, they
We've
do.
dealt with investment companies, and you tell them, I have 20 minutes, you better make it fit into that time. And
That's
they're
what
like,
we-
yes, I will.
That's what we had to do. Years and years ago, I didn't understand that, and so I got backed up on an RFP, when I was in my 20s there, and so after that, it was, you have a time frame and that's it.
Yeah.
And I would actually put on the agenda and send the agenda out so they all had it, because they will all ask who else is coming, and it's not confidential, so I
Right.
just put everything out, and I've never had an issue since then. Yeah.
So for our meetings, do we want to stick to meeting the Thursday before council meetings?
That works.
That works for me.
Does that work?
It's up to you guys because my schedule is way more flexible.
So once in a while, I'm gonna have a conflict with a meeting that I go to for the Kennebec Regional Development Authority, because I'm the marketing committee chair. I have to do a presentation to the General Assembly. I know, who wants to give a presentation to 50 or so people, but I do have to do that. So they have been jumping around on their meetings, so I'm not sure what they're doing. But just so you know,
Well, we can.
We
Well,
might have
whatever
to-
night you have to go to that meeting, we don't need to have a meeting.
Mm.
We can just, so you just tell us those
Okay.
dates.
When they decide.
Yeah, when they decide.
Yeah, they're already trying to move the meetings around in February. It's usually the 4th Thursday of each month, and then there's a executive committee meeting, which is usually the 2nd, but they've been bouncing all over the place lately. So let's set our schedule, and then we might have to make just a few little adjustments.
Well, there really shouldn't be much the 4th Thursday of the month for us to talk about, because we won't have any of the end of the month stuff to review or anything.
Right, no, you
And
won't.
we would have just had a council meeting.
Yes. I
10
figured
days
I was
before,
safe if it
so-
was the 4th, yeah.
So we were only meeting, were you meeting every,
We were.
Week?
Before, yeah, not every week, just the weeks
weeks of the
before
council.
the council meetings, because we were doing budget. So starting in July, we had that whole calendar
right?
that we started setting it up in July, and then the meeting started in August through December. And really, we just like previewed everything that was coming before the council, and did a few, like we did the preliminary additionals and things like that. So, I mean, aside from the,
Well, I missed so much.
yeah, aside from the, reviewing the municipal bond bank and the regular bank lending for the paving, and then the bankers came in and gave their presentation. Other than that, we really pretty much talked about paving, and then the other budget stuff was pretty much all we talked about.
It was pretty much budget.
Yep.
Mhm.
Well, Thursday is fine with me, so
And
it's up to
I
the
would
two of
really,
you.
really like to get the schedule set
Yes.
for a couple of months out
Yes.
at least. I mean, preferably it would be up to June, like
No,
the town
that's
council
fine.
meetings. Like, for example, I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Massachusetts for work, so I can plan around it if it's on my calendar.
Yeah.
You know, the
So
best
what
of my
we
So the
can do-
next meeting, next meeting would be the 13th.
There's a meeting, the Pinnacle group is meeting here at 7.
Yeah, they'll be meeting here at
So, but I
7.
mean, I can't imagine we're gonna be done tonight before 7.
So we don't need to,
Yeah.
so then the first, or the next meeting would be,
That would be the 13th.
How long does
March.
it take to set up, do you wanna have the bankers come in at the next meeting? Or do you wanna, we'll have to check with them on their schedule.
Yes, and we'll want the people actually in charge of our account, which works out better than the replacements that are sent that have to study it really fast before the meeting.
Do we have anything else to discuss on the 13th, or should we wait and have a meeting maybe the 20, or you said the 4th Thursday? Really, the 13th would be the meeting to have for the month of February if we don't have other pressing things coming before us.
Yeah, because then we have the end of month stuff too, by that point.
So, the 13th is out because the Pinnacle group and the recreation
Okay.
people will be here.
Okay.
so we're looking at March.
You can be, or we could go for the 20th. We won't be doing the warrants, but we can take care of other things.
Well, if we could get that group
We
to
have an
come in on the
ordinance committee
20th.
meeting that night.
Who?
We have an
Oh,
ordinance.
that's
meeting.
right, yeah, okay. All right, March.
So, we're in March.
Oh, March!
Okay.
So our regular council meeting's the 3rd and the 17th.
Are we keeping it on the 3rd?
What's the 3rd?
Is that's
Super
Super
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Oh, are we?
I
voting
noticed
that
that's the
Is that the
same
day of the
day.
special election?
Yes, I've got on the agenda that will move that to the 4th.
Oh, okay.
I figured that would happen.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think there's any way we're meeting on Super Tuesday. I won't make it to that meeting. Because I have class every Wednesday.
Okay, so council on the 4th.
Yeah, this really happens, it
Right,
it
but
won't
I have to,
happen this year, yeah.
I wanna write down all the dates and then I can put them in.
All right, so what we should do to make the 17th, we should have a meeting on March 12th. And then you'll have the warrants done for the 17th.
Could we meet a little bit earlier than we
So-
would on that day? I'll leave work early. My son has a concert on the 12th.
So then,
All right, March 12th at what time?
What time's the concert start?
is 6 o'clock all right?
Could we meet at 5 on that day? Is that all right with people? Typically 6 o'clock is when I need to, but this concert's at Nokomis
So that's March 12th
at 5.
at 5.
Does that work, Catherine?
Oh, that's fine. So it looks like we won't be able to have the banks in for a while, which is okay.
Well, March 12th would give them plenty of time to check.
I know, but if they're coming in, you know, we'll have the warrants, you might have, you know, the timetable, or maybe before that, I'll send out the timetable, the outline on the steps for the projects and everything, and going for the next loan. So when you meet with the banks, you know, I will set a time for that, but, you know,
I don't think the banks is like an urgent thing, so
No.
I mean, even if it's
Not at this
April or
point.
okay, so I'm
whatever,
all
I
set
mean, I
with
don't
April.
think it's,
Because I think that would be congested for the March meeting so that Amanda can leave, yeah.
okay.
So March 12th, and then again,
Would we meet the 26th then?
March 12th?
12,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry, I'm
March
looking at
12th.
February.
March
Yep, March
12th,
12th.
and then,
No, we've got an extra week there.
That's right, okay,
Yes.
that's why I'm looking at that going,
That's
this
why
is
that
not
doesn't
working
work.
out.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we like
So
the
do we-
extra week,
Sorry,
yeah.
So the
extra week.
12th.
So April 2nd,
April 2nd.
That's not happening. I'm in New York.
is that April vacation? School vacation?
Well, it's right before, and every 4 years they go to New York City, and this happens to be that every 4 years. They do it at the beginning of vacation. They actually miss a day of school. I don't know why they don't shift it a day, so it doesn't happen, but whatever.
Do you want to meet April 9th? It won't do the warrants, but you can always come in.
Well, would we be able to meet on the 26th? I know that's 2 weeks before, but
Well, what would be on the agenda?
Why don't we wait, why don't we have our March meeting and then set a date again?
I think that's a
'Cause
good
then we can
idea,
see-
because there's a
Oh,
lot
wait,
of,
because if we're looking from March to April.
I have
we
the wrong
might be
date.
able
No,
to
we can
set
do
up
April
the
2nd.
things for
Sorry.
April.
Oh,
You
so
can do
all
it what?
set on
I had the
that?
wrong date.
Okay.
April 2nd is fine. Sorry, I was looking at this wrong.
Okay, let's go with
Okay.
April 2nd.
so we have the 12th, March 12th, and then again on
April
April
2nd. And then
2nd.
that one I do need to be 6 o'clock.
Okay,
4.
all right. So
2 at
March
6.
12th at 5 and April 2nd at 6. And I'll go for April 2nd for the banks.
That would be good.
Yes. And if not,
And
we'll
then
get another
after the
date.
banks, then we can get down to all the other stuff.
Yes, yes. Mhm. No, that'll be good. And there's no need, you don't have to meet every 2 weeks and match it up with the council meeting. There'll be less warrants, they'll be bigger. You can come in and sign them, or I'll be here working usually at night anyway, other meetings. So if somebody wants to drop by, just make arrangements and you can take it into the other room and go through everything.
And I don't, as far as the warrants, I don't mind a little email or a call and say, hey, there's warrants ready to be signed, just so we can get the checks out to people
Yeah.
in a timely manner.
I don't mind that either.
I-
I try and ask Catherine, and I usually come in.
Yes, that's what we always did, and we had somebody that called people when they needed that, but that ceased for a period of time. So we're back on track with that now.
Yeah, I mean, just a little call or a quick email.
Mhm.
I'm usually down here at least a couple times a week, so.
Yep, very good. So I will locate where the bills got put away. They have to be in this file because I saw that warrant wasn't there. And they did a quick
Warsaw's
project.
bill is missing.
Yes.
Yeah. Deb, you signed off on saw the Warsaw bill because I saw you checked it off. When did you sign warrants?
Was it last
Thursday?
week?
Yes, it came in last Thursday.
Was it? Yeah, I don't
So those were
remember.
ready. So somewhere between Thursday and Thursday.
They filed them all away.
The 24th,
Yeah.
which was Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can get you a copy of the Wausau. I have that upstairs.
Yeah, there were a number that I hadn't signed because I had been
Right.
not available. So I came in and signed a whole bunch of them. But I noticed Peter goes through them too.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
I'm gonna talk to him. If he goes through them, then I'm just gonna sign.
Yeah.
If I go through them, then he's just gonna sign. That's what I'm gonna propose. So at least one person has gone through and looked at every single invoice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, somebody has always done that. Yes, we had Pete and Amanda tag
yeah,
team
we went
there.
through every single one.
It's,
I was
mean,
looking at the thing, he was looking at the.
There's usually not a problem, but sometimes things get missed.
Yeah,
so
it's very rare.
Having done
that's
all
why I
of the
like to go
federal
through.
work that I've done, my signature doesn't go on anything that I haven't verified.
Oh, I can understand that.
I take no chances with anything.
I did have a question. Okay, so we're only scheduling 2 meetings, I wanna make sure about that. And we're gonna get a little email from the accounts payable person?
Yes, yes.
Okay, not from you,
I'll
from
call.
accounts payable.
I'll call.
No, I don't need a call.
Okay, you want to all right, everybody wants to email?
Yeah, just
Email works really
Just
great.
say
Yeah.
warrants,
It's a lot
warrants
quicker
are
than-
ready.
Takes 30 seconds to send an email. It takes 10 minutes to make.
Yeah,
a
and then,
phone call.
and then BCC, so they just send one email.
Yeah.
BCC is the best invention in the entire world. And then you're not worrying about a group email.
Yes, we do avoid those. All right, are we all set to adjourn?
I actually have one more thing.
Okay.
Is it too late to add to the agenda for the town it probably is.
Yeah.
And we can move it to the next, that we can change the order of our names and amend that so that she can remain chair. Because
I was never chair of this. Bob was chair of finance committee.
Oh.
I was not chairperson.
Well,
of
would
this
you be
committee, it was Bob.
interested in
I'm
being-
already chairperson of the ordinance committee.
Oh, so
I
then
think
I-
we need to share.
Good
leadership
experience,
Well-
good experience.
Yes,
I
but
think
it's my
we should.
first year. I'm still learning
It's okay.
everything.
The first time I was on the council, I got thrown in the
It's
fire.
more of a group thing.
I'm more concerned about the fact that I do a lot of travel for work. So that's really my big.
Well, we can always ask someone like Peter if he would like to be a substitute if you're not able to be at a meeting, so that we always have.
Well, there's what is it, the planning board has, not annex members.
Associate
members. But any of the counselors can come to these
Yeah.
meetings. Like
Yes.
Deb sat in on some of the meetings last year.
Right.
Even though she wasn't on the committee, she still came and sat in.
So that they
anybody
would
can
have
come.
them, so you'd have, be able to take votes.
Yeah.
So
You
we
should-
could,
you should
I'll
be
ask
fine.
And we can
Peter.
still have a committee if there's a committee meeting if there's two people here.
Yes.
So,
And-
It's still a majority, but
yeah.
And with Deborah here, anyone else could come in, and it's like a group meeting anyway. So as many, we've advertised it, so everyone could come if they wanted.
Right.
If somebody brought their laptop, I could join by Zoom when I'm traveling, because I never have meetings at night. Zoom's just a video platform.
Yeah, we.
I wish that we could
It just wouldn't be
figure
official.
out a way for when someone can't physically be here to still participate.
They can by phone, that will work.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
If
Well, we've got we're trying this in a
we have a
different
new
way,
phone
so
system now, so
Yeah.
it should work.
It has worked, so far, we've had like four people have called in at different times, or, there's been 4 meetings at which people have called in.
Well, if we
Okay.
do something like video chat, that's way better.
I've done that upstairs, we've tried a
We do
number
it
of
for
things.
all of our meetings. I have 6 member universities across the entire New England region, and including in Burlington, so we're not driving to meet with them.
Oh, yes.
And it is so efficient. I know that officially it may not, because I can't sign anything by that, but at least I'd be able to participate. And-
Well, and my question would be like a council meeting. If I couldn't be at a council meeting, could I still participate and can I vote?
No.
You
You
can't.
can't vote.
That's what, I mean, you can watch and you can talk and everything, but you can't cast a vote
Yes.
by phone or by video. The
Is that
state-
And that's a
state
federal-
law?
State law,
It
yes.
is.
Is it just state or is it federal?
No, it's
It's state.
Oh.
They came real close a couple years ago
Yes.
to changing it because there's a lot of people that live on the island but work on the mainland and
Right.
serve, and that was really beneficial for them to be able to do that. And they said,
All right, we had done several things upstairs like Zoom, and that had worked for meetings that, when my leg was broken and I couldn't get around, so that worked out really well. We can see what we can set up down here that could.
I think we should be doing Zoom anyway, so that the great thing about that is, it may not be Zoom, it may be a different platform, that's just a Zoom-like platform. Because this is great for our townspeople to watch the video, but there is no way for them to ask a question. If we have an elderly person who truly can't leave their house, but they want to ask a question,
Is there a
those
chat
they have
option
chat
on it?
features. So you could say, hey, resident blah 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 from whatever address they're at is asking this question about this. I think we get way more
so
participation.
you have to have somebody monitoring that during the meeting.
I would absolutely monitor that.
Well, it's a matter of someone would need to be monitoring it, but then you also need to pay attention to what's the discussion.
Yeah, it has to be
You know what I
somebody
mean?
Well,
else.
but it has to
Reading
be.
and-
Yeah, but
Well-
they would only be giving their chat questions during the time when like they could type the question, but we
Right.
can only accept it when everybody is given the opportunity.
Yeah.
So actually Mike could read them.
Mike's
is a
Taking
possibility.
notes.
I mean, he's taking notes,
Yeah.
so maybe he can't. But he could,
You're talking-
somebody could read the question.
Yeah.
When they say, okay, right now, Tim,
Well-
when he says, does anybody in the audience have any questions? You open up the chat feature. Nope, no
There's
questions.
there might be some issues there around, like when you're here, you have to state your name and where
Well,
you
no, they
live
would
and
have to say
everything.
that.
But, I mean,
There's no
people
way.
could put a pseudonym in there, or, I mean, it could be anybody
Well-
typing in, this is Amanda Collmore, if you're not here that evening, this is Amanda Collmore checking in, you know, and we wouldn't have any way of verifying. I mean, I like the idea of it, and I like the
Well, it's
idea of
video
giving
though,
more
too, so you could actually see their face.
the Zoom.
I
Yes.
think
So when
it's
you
something
click
that,
when you open the message part, it shows the person.
It shows who is connected, and then when you see their username, because they have to, you can even make it, at least in Zoom, you can make it so they have to fill out their full name. And if you wanted them to address their address in there, you can make them do that as well before they can even connect.
Yeah.
And then from there, you see video heads, like they're actually participating
Yeah.
in the meeting. It would be like
Is it the
little
person
heads.
though?
It's the
Or
actual.
is it?
If they, and we could make a rule, if you don't have a video where we see your face, you can't ask a question. Anybody else could just be listening, and that's fine, but
Sounds
it's,
like a question for MMA. I mean, as
Yes,
far
I
as.
wrote that down.
well, no, and I think
Wow.
it's just something to explore. You know, we're talking about how can we get more people involved. I think that's how you get more people involved. You've got single parents who want to come. They're like, I'd love to come to that, but my kids are in bed.
Yeah.
Or I can't bring my kids.
Yeah.
If they're not in bed.
Yeah, they may not want to bring them.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we did is when I was away at a conference this summer, and I watched on my laptop, and then Howie was here, and I just messaged Howie if I had questions, and then he asked the question. So, I mean, that's another
that's
way
what
to
my
do it,
husband
too.
does. If he has
Yeah.
a question, he texts me.
Yeah, usually my husband's like, the video's not on, the video's not working.
That's-
Oh, no, nope, never mind, there it goes.
Yep.
So I will check on that with MMA. I wrote that down and I understand how that works because I've been on a number of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works, but I'm willing to learn. I think it's a great idea.
It's
And I
really,
do think it would increase participation in the community.
and it's so easy to use. I set up for example, I have it plugged into my Google Calendar. So I set up a meeting in my Google Calendar, and then I can click, make this a Zoom meeting. And then it assigns the actual address that people would log into to get to the video and gives them the meeting ID number.
So can
It
you-
does it all for you.
Can you put that in any calendar?
It does share with other calendars. My preferred calendar is Google because that's what we use at the university,
Right.
but
I think that's-
it works with Outlook as well. It's not an actual Google platform, so it'll work with most things.
It plays nice with others.
Yes, it plays nice with others. Unlike Microsoft and Google don't work well together at all. But I understand, they're competitors.
Design, by design.
All right, very good. So we're adjourned and I'll check the MMA on chat.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thursday meeting.
We are. So we'll turn off the video. You can come in here.
Okay.